Hello, good day and welcome. My name is Mr. JB and today we're going through the Photopea tutorial for creating a dual exposure or a double exposure, whatever it is you want to call it. Now, there's a few different ways to go about doing this procedure. I'm going to go through this way. I have another video on another way very similar, but we're just going to end up going through this just to kind of show some different aspects of this. To begin, I have my image dropped in and all of my other images that I'm going to end up using for kind of like my dual piece of the dual exposure. Now, sometimes people just use one or multiple. I have one dealing with just a single image in terms of my overlay, but for this one, we're going to end up doing a handful. So to begin, I have my regular image dropped in. You want to end up going to your select, and then you want to go to remove BG. I've already done this, depending on how many ads you've watched or if you have premium, whatever, you might have to watch an ad. It just isn't an unlimited. You can click forever without kind of doing something. Usually your first or second of the day are free. The rest of them you end up having to watch an ad. So to begin, I'm just going to start with turning on all of my images. And maybe we'll just do one at a time. That's a little bit much. And I'm just going to end up choosing where it is that I want to place them for the time being. I'm going to change their opacity. I'm going to drop it down to like 65, 70-ish%. Doesn't really make a big difference, but I'm just going to end up choosing spots that I want to end up plopping them onto. Now, these aren't permanent. You can move them, grab them, switch them, place them in another spot. Totally fine. So I'm going to start off with my one. And I'm just going to end up placing all of them doing the same exact process just to kind of get a general idea of where it is that I want to end up dropping these images to. Oh, we're turning opacity on the wrong one. Bum will be up here in the corner. And I'm just going to place all of these rather than you watching me do it. I will see you all in a second. I will time lapse this. Perfect. So I've just kind of lightly placed my images where I kind of sort of want them. From here, we're going to just kind of turn them off one by one and just deal with one of these at a time. So from here with my one selected, I'm going to go turn it into a raster mask. You can do this for all of them at once if you want to. Just go through, turn them all into raster masks by clicking the camera thingy on the bottom menu. Boom. Back to my original one. Now, before we end up getting too far, there's one more thing that we need to do. We have to select our magic wand tool and make sure that you have your background image. So my Optimus Prime, I'm going to convert that to a smart object. Select the background, hold shift, and just click any other spaces where there kind of is that transparency background. Just do your best to grab as much as you can. And then you're going to go to each one of those images and you're going to press delete. It's going to ask you to rasterize it, and you're just going to keep going through, and you're just going to end up deleting that space. So I'm just pressing delete, enter, delete again, delete, enter, delete again. And what that does is it just erases all of the outside space that's not part of this image. Just saves us with a little bit of fading and a little bit of playing around. Now, I'm going to go back to my black, and then I'm just going to increase my opacity so that way it is present and it is full. And I'm just going to end up drawing with my black brush. Now I'm going to do this for all my images. I'm just going to time lapse it because there's not much for me to say as I'm going through this process, and I will see you all in a second. Perfect. So now I've got all of my images kind of placed in various places where I want them. If you're happy with this, great. Now, for some types of dual exposure images, some people don't like to fade the edges like I did. They like to just leave it right to the end and they have a crisp, deep edge. Totally fine if that's how you want to do it. I kind of like to fade the edges in. I prefer the look of that, but 100% your choice. From here, I'm going to go to image. I'm going to go to adjustments. Image adjustments, and I'm going to go to hue and saturation. From here, I'm going to drag my saturation down all the way to the bottom. That's going to end up making it just a black and white image. And from here, you can kind of paint or brush on color in certain areas that you want. Now, this is totally personal preference. You don't have to end up doing anything along these lines. This is all 100% whatever it is that you want to do. Now, you can go through and you can end up having some color popping through the back of whatever your image is, just in various places, all of it. Again, you don't have to end up doing all of this. I'm going to end up cropping mine, so there's going to be a little bit of a different space. And you can go through and you can change the opacity to make sure that they're all 100% for whatever it is that you want, if that's the style that you want to have for this image. Now, I'm going to crop my image just to end up giving me a little bit of a better area. That's just the piece here that looks like Minecraft DNA. I'm just going to end up dragging that in, and I'm going to drag this up. So that way it's pretty much at the bottom of our bottom image. Now with that, that's all this is. Pretty straightforward. Now mine was with multiple images, so it takes a little bit longer when you start dealing with multiple images, but however it is you want to do it, with a single, multiple, whatever. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day, take care, and be safe.